Then, thank you very much, Camilla, for the opportunity to present some of my work today in discussing providing responsive support and developing responsive relationship within parent-coach relationship in football. Just a quick overview. I've been an athlete myself, and I had a very pushy father. Then I've been used as an athlete to have kind of a highly involved father. And then in my career later on, I was involved in a federation, organizing competition, etc. And my brightest idea was to ban parents because they were a real pain in the neck. Brilliant idea, I thought, at the time. But then later on, I was actually hired by parents themselves as a coach to not in football, but in another sport, which is sport climbing. But I was hired by parents themselves. And then I decided to start studying psychology. And I ended up doing my PhD on parent-athlete relationship, and especially the construct of responsive, the theoretical construct of responsive support. Then I carried out my research mostly on parent-athlete relationship, but today we are extending this research in what we call all significant others. And in sport, significant others could be parents. Yes, for sure, they're important. They can be coaches, they can be girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, peers, etc., etc. And today, I will try to demonstrate that responsiveness is important, that it is simple but tricky, and hopefully like it will challenge some of you ideas or how we can help and develop better or enhance parent-coach relationship in football. What I would like you to do during this presentation is please challenge me with question. We will discuss about what is responsiveness, and that's something which seems pretty simple, but putting responsiveness into practice might be somewhat complicated. Then please challenge me with what it could be in practice. What are your day-to-day questions in the field that you may have regarding this construct? So what is responsiveness? Responsiveness, I told you already, is immensely simple. Responsiveness describes how people in a relationship attend to and support each other's needs and goals. And that's a definition from Rees and colleagues. In order to better understand what is responsiveness, there are actually three main components within responsiveness. And the first one is simply caring for, then paying attention as a coach to parent and caring for parent, being interested in parents will already be one element if you want to demonstrate responsiveness. The second one, and I'm starting by the bottom, is valuing. And we've seen that parents are important, and James before also discussed how important it is to value parents and parents' involvement in sport. Then what can we do to value parents in sport? And the third one, which may be slightly complicated, is understanding. Then if you try to understand parents, if you pay attention to them, if you value them, hopefully you'll be responsive to them. And like talking like that, it seems very simple. So the next question is, why is it important? Why should I be responsive as a coach to parents, as a parent to coaches, or to athletes? The response to that comes from general psychology or social psychology, is that responsiveness is the key ingredients in satisfying and healthy relationship. And there are loads and loads and loads of benefits on responsiveness. Then they are not all there, but loads of work had been carried out in romantic relationship, but it also applies my research on parent-athlete relationship. And there are actually loads of research that demonstrate that when a relationship is responsive, it demonstrates improved well-being, self-esteem, self-efficacy, goal accomplishment, health, sleep quality, reaction to stressors. And we've told previously that our parents and coaches sometimes are under huge amount of pressure. Then being responsive could be interesting here, intimacy. And in general, responsiveness will improve the quality of the relationship between you as a coach and parents. And here, that's why I've put these two bi-directional arrows. It means that if you're more responsive, the other will be more responsive, and the benefits will be shared. Then if you have an improved well-being thanks to responsiveness, the parent will have similar increased in well-being, for example. And there are loads and loads and loads of research. And my job as a researcher today is to bring some of this research and try to apply this research in sport within the specific context of sport, for example, parent-athlete relationship, but also coach-athlete or coach-parent relationship. So when we talk about responsiveness, it seems simple. We've seen that too. There are loads of benefits. Brilliant, wonderful. Then what can we do and what does it mean? I will try to discuss with you rapidly a little bit. What does it mean being responsive? How can we develop responsive relationship with parents? And maybe the most complicated of the three is, how can I ensure that I'm responsive to parents? Let's start by the first question. What does it mean really? What does it really mean being responsive from a coach to a parent or from a parent? Like it doesn't matter which relationship you are in. Being responsive, strangely, is not really based on what you do or what you think. Being responsive in a relationship is mostly based on how other people perceive that you are. Then it's not what you will do or what you think you do, but the question that we ask in responsiveness is, how is it perceived by parents? Then if I want to have an example, let's say that, okay, at the end of the game, I'm talking with parents, then I care for them. I believe that I'm responsive to them. Yes, that's wonderful. But some parents, at the end of the game, they are in a hurry because they need to drive the other kids to another training. And then what you did was actually like stealing their time. Then you believe being responsive, that you were responsive because you talk with parents, but actually for some parents, this was perceived as, oh, the coach is putting me under pressure because I need to drive my other kids to another training. Then that's one of the trickiness of being responsive, is not what you do, what you think, is how it is perceived by others. Being responsive to one person may not be responsive to another person. And that's because, as we discussed previously, it's based on individual perception. Then when we talk about responsiveness, we need to be careful because there is not one fit all or whatever. Sometimes you can be responsive to one parent by talking to them after the game, and you took time to talk to them after the game, and one parent will be super happy because you explain why their child was substituted. But for the other parents, they ran out of time and it was not responsive to them. Then we need to be super careful because like sometimes your behavior or what you think you do, like it will be interpreted differently by different parents. Third problem or difficulty is that you can be responsive one day, or something can be perceived as responsive one day and not being perceived as responsive the next day. Let's say that on day one, the parent has a lot of time, and then taking time to discuss and talk with them will be perceived as super responsive. The next day or another weekend, they have less time, and then it is perceived as not being responsive to them. You start to understand that's a little bit complicated. But also, something responsive in one situation may not be responsive in another situation. You took the time to talk with parents after the game. If you lost or if you won, whatever the situation, okay, it could be perceived differently based on the situation. That's complicated. Then in very short, being responsive, and that's maybe one of the most important message for me, it is individualized, it is tailor-made, and it should be adaptive. You cannot put all parents in the same stuff. Like all parents are different, all they are different, like everything is different all the time. Then it should be individualized. And one of the key messages in responsiveness is that we cannot only, I'm losing myself. We cannot only we are not responsive if we do not check what others think about what we do. Hopefully I'm clear enough. Don't know. Then Next question, how can I develop responsive relationship? Time matters. Responsiveness, trying to care for, validating parents and trying to understand them, it will not come from one day, like in one day. You will need time. It gradually builds through time. And the good news is that the outcome of responsive relationship accumulate with time. This is because you are responsive and because of the time frame during 1 week, 2 weeks, etc., that gradually it will accumulate and gradually people will start to perceive that you're responsive to them. And that's why consistency matters. Okay. Your consistency in you trying to be responsive will be more important than the amount of responsiveness. Actually, it doesn't really matter how much you try. What will be important is that you try consistently. And one message that I really, really wanted to highlight from James' talk is that saying thank you to parents at the end of the game. Okay. If you are consistent in doing so, that's a small act of care. That's super simple. It demonstrates that you care for parents, that you validate that are present and that are supporting the children. You don't really try to understand them, but at least you demonstrate that you care for them. If you do that regularly, it will gradually accumulate and parents will start to realize, oh, this coach is paying attention to us, is responsive to us, and it will increase their confidence in you. And the more you do, the more consistently you do that, the better it will be with your relationship. And this very small and simple act of care matter a lot. And the last important message is that it is bidirectional. Okay, your responsiveness will influence parents' responsiveness. Then the more you care, the more you try to understand, the more you value parents, the more they will be responsive to you. Then sometimes when we have conflict between parents and coach, we don't even try to understand each other anymore. We reject each other. Okay. Responsiveness is the exact opposite of rejecting each other. It's trying to understand, and the more you do, the more they will do with you. Then my message is that yes, we can easily put the responsibility of parents, or they are difficult, they don't know anything, they create problems, etc. But as a coach, you also have a responsibility trying to bring them with you. And if you build a responsive relationship with parents, a consistent and enduring relationship with them, they will eventually be more responsive to you, to the kids, and it will improve your well-being, their well-being, and everything. Wonderful. Yes. But how can I ensure that I'm responsive as a coach? And that may be a little bit thought-provoking, but being responsive is not about educating others. And again, I will reflect on James' talk. He used a specific word that I noted is providing information or something similar to parents. It's not mansplaining parents. It's not, you're not the king of the room and you are explaining to them what it is to be a coach, etc. Okay, you provide them with opportunity to have information. Some parents may be already well informed and have a good knowledge, some other not. You just provide them with the opportunity to have the knowledge. And it's not educating them, it's mostly listening to them, trying to understand their reality, caring for them, paying attention to them simply. Being responsive is somewhat is considering less what is happening on daily basis and maybe a little bit more trying to consider or understand the bigger picture. It means not judging too much what others do, but trying to understand why they do it. Then an example, a classic example is that some parents never turned up to matches, competition, training, even to opportunities to talk with you. Some parents said that you never see them. And you may say, oh, these parents are not involved, it's bad for the kid, etc. Yeah, but you don't know. Maybe they are super involved at home, maybe they have other commitment, maybe they have other kids, maybe they don't feel at ease in the sport environment. And if I reflect on myself, that was the case of my mom. She was super interested in what I was doing, but she didn't felt at ease in the sport environment. She was supporting me. It was at home, it was a bit gender biased, but it was how it was. Okay. Other parents, they're always there at all trainings, all competition. They're coming to all stuff. They're a bit too noisy and too present. They will say, "Ooh, it would be better if they were less involved." But sometimes, like that's the only opportunity for them to be involved with their kids, and they're doing their best. And they believe that by doing that, they can improve their child experience, and sometimes it's even perceived as being beneficial by the kids. Then please don't judge parents too soon, but try to understand, discuss with them. Oh, okay, I see that you're coming often. Try to discuss if you have time, or just check, oh, I see you're there, thanks, whatever. Try to understand a better picture, and it will help you to be responsive with parents. Being responsive is also acknowledging that you don't know. And that goes hand in hand with not judging. Okay, if you see some behaviors from parents that might irritate you, try to discuss, try to understand why. Okay, and sometimes you just don't know, and that's okay. And if coach at some point, and or parents, if all of us at some point just stop talk and try to listen to other, will be in a better position. Then sometimes just acknowledging, okay, I see that you did this and that. I don't know why. I don't judge it, and try to understand what's happening. And being responsive, most importantly, is asking other about their perspective. Then sometimes, like let's say that you substitute a player by another, and you talk with the parent after the game and you want to explain, yeah, I substituted because whatever reason. Actually, it's not really important, and it might not be responsive to them. Okay, what you can do if you want to ensure that you're responsive is, okay, go to the parents if you have time and say, okay, you have seen I substituted your child. How did you perceive that? And the parent may explain, oh, that was okay for me. I understand that my child was bad, or the player was whatever, or for tactical reason it was necessary. And then first listen to them. And based on that, try to explain your choices to the parents afterward. Not going, okay, I did this for X, Y, Z reason. Then in very short, being responsive is amazingly important. They will have loads and loads and loads of benefits. It is somewhat complicated. The construct of responsiveness is simple, but putting responsiveness into practice may be complicated, and it has long-lasting implication. And small, simple act of care will matter. Being responsive implies caring for, paying attention, understanding, or at least trying to understand what others live, and valuing others. Here, it could be valuing parents, for example. If you do that, almost, hopefully, certainly, your relationship with parents will improve. That's it for me. Thank you very much.